We are going to look at the potential reconditioning work on this Peugeot, the Mont-Cenis. Interesting thing about Mont-Cenis, besides the bike, a mountain pass, a pass built by Napoleon in Italy. This bike is going to need maybe not quite as much work, but certainly some. This bike comes to us from California. We can see some signs of that there. We're going to see if this quick initial overlook, if it's going to be worth it. There are a few deal killers on reconditioning, so let's look at what those might be first. We'll start with the frame. Frame's in not bad shape. We begin always up at the head tube and the fork. No wrinkles here, no wrinkles. We would see a frame failure here, cracking. If it was smashed, very common, not very common, but quite common to smash something, get wrinkles under the tube from the stress. Or a bent fork. I think we're okay here. So the frame does seem in pretty good shape. No obvious cracks. Still could be some problems that we don't see. A flat tire, obviously not a problem. Rubbing brakes, not a problem. Let's get a little more depth here. Let's begin with the saddle here. This is one potential problem. A severely seized seat post can sometimes ruin a bike. This one we see is quite chewed. It was actually forced out of the bike. This is the Peugeot system, no longer offered. Inside we have basically a stem plug, just like the handlebars would be. We'll see that in a minute. That one is seized, so we do have a bit of a dilemma here. This will be a challenge. So we can see the rust here. The pieces that should be here are inside the frame. And yes, that potentially is a deal killer here. We're going to ignore that for now. Let's have a little closer look down inside here. We have the plug. Plug's about 5-6 centimeters down, right inside. That appears to be rusted in place. That's going to take a little bit of work, a little bit of thinking to get out. Down below that is actually the nut that goes on the end of this threaded shaft here to pull it up tight. There is no other option here. We're going to have to get this fixed. A very crude option would be to sink a hole through the back, tap this to match, and then have incremental height adjustments. We want to avoid that if we can. So that's going to be the fun challenge right there on the Mont-Cenis from Peugeot. Continue looking at the rest of the bike. Crank arm is on the bike. Nothing's cracked, but turning the bottom bracket here, it's kind of fun. We have an index system here. We can feel each bearing, so the adjustment horrendously over tight on the crankset. The chain, we can see the chain is off and the derailleur hanging. That's how it was shipped to us here. A couple things here. Chain, of course, new chains aren't that much of a problem. Even a modern 8-9 speed chain will still work on this old system here. This is a friction system. Up here we have our friction levers, so the indexing is not an issue. Campagnolo system. New cables, obviously. This is just dangling. That does not look so good. And the worst of all, we'll see, we are simply missing the bolt here. That is a problem. That model here requires just this unique bolt and also a unique spacer. If we cannot arrange for this, if we cannot find that, it'll be very difficult to fake. That would require a different derailleur, and that would be too bad. This is the Campagnolo Victory model. We do have a broken pulley. We can see here a broken pulley as well, right there. Those you can replace. So that you could put on almost any derailleur. It would work on a friction system. But that would be a shame. It would not keep things the same. It would not keep it original. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cogs back here, the 12-speed comment here by Peugeot. So the derailleur, missing the bolts, what we have done is reached out to our friends, and that is a good reason to have good friends in biking. Butch of the SRAM Neutral Support, Butch Balzano, has reached out and sent me this part here that will fit this, and also some pulleys. So that's a lesson we'll take right now, is network with people, network with your friends, and try and help each other out when you can. I have some Shimano AX Dura-Ace pedal rebuild kits I can send Butch if he should ever need them. And he sent me these parts here, so this means we'll be able to reuse this. Some bending will be required, some parts replacement. The rear tire, holding air, not a problem. Feels like a loose bearing, not so much of a problem. We can adjust that. Going to the back, some bent screws. And here, this system is interesting. Whoops, this appears to be a problem here. This is the lock ring on the Maillard helichromatic system. We can see this play here that should not be here. That should be tight, so we should not have that play. Well, we can simply tighten that up. Let's see if we can see the shininess. See the shininess behind all of these gears if we turn that slowly. They've been riding this bike a good bit, and if these are wore out, we can see some are very worn. That could be a problem. We might get some chain skipping. Finding a new 6-speed Maillard system here is going to be very difficult. I would go as far as to say impossible. So the brakes are the Modolo Speedy system. Not in great shape. We can improve on that. Some creaky in the Speedy. Not a problem. We can solve that. Also our headset, noisy, slow, sluggish. I think an overhaul will help that as well. And some finish work with some steel wool and some buffing. So overall, I think we're going to have a successful repair if we can get the seat post out.